This is Marvin L. Storm. Today we're here with Haroon Bhatti. Marvin, would you give us a quick background on yourself and your firm and where you're located?
Absolutely, Marvin. As Marvin said, my name is Haroon Bhatti from Capital Business Brokerage, based in Farmington Hills, Michigan. We focus on helping our clients sell their businesses, typically Main Street or lower middle market companies. The firm has been established for about 20 years now, and we've been servicing primarily the Southeast Michigan market.
hmm Tell me a little bit about your M&A career, business brokerage career, and what brought you to pursue this business as an advisor in selling businesses.
Absolutely, Marvin. Initially, I was going to school for business. I've always found businesses very fascinating. And I love the mentality of entrepreneurs. I love the way they think. I love the innovation and their motivations for doing what they're doing. And I went to school for business. And while I was going to school, I ended up starting a company that was an automotive brokerage company, just to kind of help me with my income and also pay for school. And as I was going through that, I found great success with that business, and I ended up exiting from that business once I graduated. And I'm still actually partners in that business, but I ended up selling a majority part of my shares in that business. And that experience really set the foundation for me on how businesses are sold and how you can develop value in a business that it is actually sellable down the road. Once that was done, I ended up going into opening up my consulting firm, specializing in Main Street businesses, helping them get their financials organized, their internal systems organized. And that led me to getting introduced to the president of our firm and the founder. And we just felt like there was a great amount of synergies in there. We started doing a lot of the work together, where I was offering a lot of consulting services to our clients. And that kind of evolved in me becoming partners with him at his firm. And we primarily now focus on exit planning and helping sellers value and sell their businesses.
Okay. Um, Tell me a little bit about, when you think about the characteristics and, individual strengths that someone in your field and niche in the market as far as an advisor and helping people exit the business. What are some of those individual strengths that contribute to success in the M&A field?
So there is definitely a level of emotional intelligence you need to have when doing deals, as compared to just having the
Well,
understanding.
how would you define emotional intelligence?
Being able to really sit with your clients and really feel for them on what they're going through when it comes to selling a business. A lot of people, when you're a lot of the business owners, when they're running a business for decades and decades, they really are deeply, their identities is somewhat integrated with their businesses. And now when they're exiting that business, they're taking it to market, there has to be a sensitivity that we have to keep in mind when dealing with these sellers, and really understand that the decision that they're about to make is one of the biggest decisions that they'll ever make in their life. And helping them through that from an emotional perspective, and also from the objective, process-oriented perspective that needs to be part of the transaction.
All right. As an advisor, what do you feel have been some of your greatest accomplishments?
It's really the highest amount of gratification I get is, primarily I deal with a lot of business owners that are looking to retire. And really that's been one of the niches that I've really been focused on. And just seeing someone put in all those years of work into that business, and then taking it to market and getting them the highest value that I can, so they can really go into the next phase of their life with some comfort and some strong foundation of having whatever the proceeds that they received from the business, is really one of the most gratifying part of my job. And
Kind of enabling people to realize their dreams, I guess. I never really thought.
absolutely,
Mhm.
we've seen so many bad experiences where, a lot of mergers and acquisitions advisors do not want to work in the Main Street Main Street businesses, because it's a lot more tedious and complicated, but the rewards are, the work is almost the same, but the rewards sometimes are not really as high as it would be in a, lower middle market or a middle market company. But that's where we come in, and we really try to, help the Main Street business owners to realize that dream as well. Because we've seen so many business owners that just end up end up dealing with a commercial realtor. And because they don't understand the complexities that come with business sales, they a lot of times end up ruining the businesses for these people, and they're not able to get any enterprise value out of them.
All right, well, that's good insight. So in your firm, do you do other things other than, the actual brokerage function? Are you doing valuations or paid consulting, exit planning or anything like that?
Absolutely. Sorry about the notifications, but we do offer, besides the brokerage services, we do offer consulting services relating to exit planning, and a lot of times it's helping business owners really get their financial reporting in order, getting their structure in order for the companies, so it's a lot more attractive to buyers.
Mm-hmm. As you look back on all the transactions you've been involved in over the years, what are some of the biggest mistakes that, learning experiences, I guess you could say, when you've been working on a deal? What are some of those that stand out in your mind?
Well, when it comes to a business owner taking their business to market, I think the primarily when it comes to the Main Street market, having good financial reporting, having good financial data.
I'm really talking about what, from your side of the table, not
as an advisor.
Right, as an advisor.
So every deal, as we discussed in the podcast, has its challenges, and we have to constantly learn from those mistakes that are happening. And for every deal, the challenges that come about are different. One of the deals we learned that we have to have the franchise agreements in order. That was something that we always took for granted. We thought that every business owner has their franchise agreements in order, but through different deals that we have gone through, that was a lesson that we had to learn, and we had to make that adjustment. Secondly, I would say from the lessons learned is it's really just so many lessons. I cannot really point out that one lesson that I've learned. It's really for every deal we evolve and we learn some new things on how to handle a process, how to handle financing for a specific deal. What type of documents do we need to have prepared beforehand to take it to market? So we're constantly evolving in this industry, and literally every business has its challenges. Every deal has its challenges, and we have to learn from it and make sure we get more and more refined as we're dealing with future deals.
As a seasoned advisor, what changes and trends do you see on the horizon that are going to impact, the brokerage and M&A field in the future?
So currently, a few things that we're foreseeing is somewhat related to the current situation, circumstances with the pandemic. There's a lot of loans that businesses ended up taking out for their businesses, whether it's PPP loans or the EIDL loans, which are more so long-term, that would be going on.
Why don't you explain to someone listening to the podcast that may not be familiar with an EID loan is?
So right now, during the pandemic, the CARES Act released two different types of loans. One was the payroll protection, the PPP loan, and the second one was a EIDL loan. So the PPP loans are more focused to be short-term to encourage businesses to keep on employees as compared.
Define PPP. What's that an acronym for?
Paycheck Protection Program.
Okay.
Yep. So those were primarily just to help business owners with short-term cash flow issues, whereas the EIDL loans were more so 30 years.
EI is what?
EIDL, that's Economic Injury Disaster Loans.
Mm-hmm.
So those were long-term 30-year loans that a lot of businesses ended up taking on and those are going to be liabilities that are going to be on their books. And we're expecting that some of those liabilities will definitely impact the transactions that we're going to be doing in the future. And the PPP loans, I think they will be pretty much resolved in the next couple of years. But the EIDL loans are something that we're keeping in mind as liabilities that are going to be on the books for a lot of businesses. And we're not sure how they're going to be handling that additional liability that they have on their books.
Mm-hmm. Now that you've been in the business for a while, and if you could look back and talk to your 30-year-old self, what type of advice would you give your younger self?
Really, it's, I would say, that's a tough question because it's a very open-ended question. I would say really focusing on, preserving the values that we have on, how we operate with business owners and how we're working with them, and really just not deviating from those values no matter how tempting things might get in the short term and how nice they look, and really just holding on to those values and philosophies that we have on how we want to work with our clients and what we want to provide to them.
All right. So kind of one final question here. Now that you look back over the last year, what kind of things would you have done differently during this pandemic, if anything? Now that we have the value of hindsight, is there anything that you could have done differently in your business, and maybe working with those that you work with on a day-to-day basis, helping them transition out of their business? Anything differently that you would have done?
From our perspective as advisors?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So I actually, we're really proud of how we handled this whole uncertainty when it came down to the pandemic with our firm. There were a lot of business brokers that we know within our industry, within our area, that really took a very pessimistic view to the pandemic, and they thought that the business world is going to be affected to a point where there's not going to be really a big need for advisors anymore. Whereas we took the complete opposite approach. We felt like there were going to be a lot of business owners that are going to need our services, especially in this time. And for us to really just keep working and being there for our clients. So we ended up taking 2 weeks off, but after that, I had my whole team come back to work. We were still working remotely with some aspects of the brokerage, but then we were there for our clients when they needed us to be there in person. So really, what we learned from the pandemic was that we're happy that we stayed diligent with everything that was going on. We still stayed optimistic. We were there for our clients, and we had a fantastic 2020. We were able to still, during the pandemic, with all the challenges that were thrown at us, help our clients sell their businesses, and we did one of the largest transactions at the end of 2020.
Well, that's cool. All right. Well, this has been great to get a little bit better insight into your business and your own personal background and how you view the world, and being an advisor and helping people make that transition from, running a business for decades, if not longer, and, helping them realize their dreams. So if someone wanted to reach out to you and chat with you a little bit more about their specific situation, how would they do that?
They can call our office at 248-855-6767 anytime and ask for me or speak to any of our brokers here, or you can reach us online at www.capitalbusinessbrokerage.biz.
All right. And so I appreciate you taking the time. This is Marvin L. Storm, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Business Exit Stories podcast. For more information or to reach out to today's guest, visit www.businessexitstories.com for more details. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast from your favorite podcasting platforms. And remember, maximizing business value at the time of exit doesn't happen magically. It takes planning.